Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the Improvisational Storytelling Podcast, where every week a few people get together with their randomly assigned and randomly designed, not randomly, separately designed story elements, combine them together into a story, week after week, a unique story. I'm, of course, Levi.
And I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to tell you a story. We have decided after over 2 years of making Wait, It Gets Better to change up how the story is going to be told. Basically, instead of every new episode making a new story, from this point on, until we run out of story elements or run out of ideas, we are going to create one cohesive story. So expect the formats to get maybe a little bit longer. Also, I'm going to try and get a recap in of the previous episode going on from this point on. So without further ado, welcome to the new and improved Wait, It Gets Better. What story elements did you guys have? I had beginning scene.
I have
I
anti-hero.
had prophecy. Oh, go ahead, Reed.
I'm anti-hero.
And I have prophecy.
Prophecy. Look at that. We're off to a great start here. Okay. So I suppose I should start, or did we want to start with the prophecy?
I don't know. What do you think, Reed? Want to hear the beginning scene or the prophecy first?
I think that I was just thinking about like a story where they'll start out like a prophecy or a kind of like something that happened long ago that holds the seeds for our present story. And then so I think we should have the prophecy and then the beginning scene.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Okay, let's see here. All right. I'm bad at writing things down, so I got to try to remember all of it. In the day that the three hills that overlook the green sea stand secure in their watch, the red dragon will rise and lay them in a heap and turn them to a plain. But if those that lie under the sea rise up with the blue sun, they will have the gift. If they turn and rise with the blue sun, they will have the gift to stand against the red dragon and send him to the abyss for all his days.
And these are those who sleep under the green sea?
Yes.
This is a long one. We'll have to write it down.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
Great. Or I'll transcribe it from our recording. Perfect. Right. So beginning scene then. You guys ready for this?
All right.
Reed, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, I always think of beginning scenes as like movies.
Yeah.
Like, my brain always says, enter scene. This is what's happening. Without it's not like a book. It's like just the story. Mm-hmm. So basically you'd see it in a lot in movies and TV shows where like the person kind of opens their eyes and like wakes up and they see like the lights of the hospital going, and they look over and there's people pushing the gurney that they're on and yelling, saying words, and there's someone sitting on top of them on the gurney, like giving them chest compressions and like holding like their neck, which is like spurting human fluid everywhere, and they're kind of like in and out, and someone's yelling at them like, you've been in an accident, Mr. Johannes, you've been in an accident. And he's kind of like fading in and out, fade in. Remember talking to your boss and telling him you weren't going to do this deal that he wanted you to do, dealing with corrupt governments wasn't part of your thing.
Yeah.
Fade out, fade in, talking to your wife. He's talking to his wife, telling her, maybe he's just got to lay low for a little bit, things are okay now, but maybe things just got to lay low for a little bit. Fade out, fade in. He's in a park at night talking to a man who, and he's giving over information, right? Maybe he's snitching on his boss, who seems to be kind of an unsavory character. Fade out. Fade in. He's driving his car. He gets done. He is talking to his wife, and he gets done talking to her about, she's all ready to go, and he's going to be there in just a few minutes, and he hangs up. Fade out. And then basically he comes to, and he's in like a meadow, and he kind of sits up and he looks at his hands, and at first his hands are all like bloody and like all like torn up and stuff, and then he looks away, and then he looks back, and they're like all clean, and he like stands up thinking he has to get to Maria, his wife, but then as he walks down the sort of meadow, like towards like what looks maybe a village, he keeps noticing things about his surroundings, and they keep kind of pushing away his life, right? And then he gets to the city, and he's like a new person. And they ask him, "Oh, did you just arrive?" Yeah. "Oh, there's a lot of adventure ahead of us, and he's like, what's your name? And he kind of like looks around, like as his whatever was happening in his life before has like slowly being like stripped away. And he just sees something and just says that's what his name is. He looks and someone's playing darts, and he just says, "D'Artagnan." "Oh, D'Artagnan, what are you, a warrior? And they kind of go through what you experience in like a video game character creation scenario, right? Where you choose like your background, like for RPGs anyways. You choose like your background, you choose your backstory, and all of it's just kind of based on what's around him. And he's finally, and like right before the end of the beginning scene, he kind of has this moment where they ask, did you have any family? What's your family? And he just, I had a wife. Her name was, I can't remember. And they go, oh, that's all right. Maybe that'll be your quest to recover the information about your wife. And they're like, oh yeah, the evil wizard. And just like really kind of lighthearted, not lighthearted, but fantasy stuff. And then there's that. And then the scene cuts to people at a computer system as the body is being, zipped up. And they said, one guy looks at the other and goes, is the extraction complete? Yes. All right. Begin the interrogation. That's the beginning scene. Dun, dun, dun.
Begin the interrogation.
Right. My idea is kind of like, this is a thing to trick Marius or Marcus or whatever his name is. I guess we have to come up with a name because he's like a character in an ongoing story now. I like Marius or Marcus.
Well, he started out being Marius.
Yeah, that's his actual name. He's D'Artagnan inside of this system, which is kind of like a virtual reality video game thing that his brain has been uploaded to in order to like get the information from him. In order to kind of extract the whatever it is that he didn't want to divulge to his boss, and whatever it is that he was like, they were willing to like kill him over, basically. It's some information, and somehow they're going to get it out of him by basically putting him through kind of a fantasy situation that kind of tricks his brain into like divulging the information. That's the beginning scene. Okay. So that's like a lot lot of setting and setup too.
No, so. I like that though. It's a great story because you have just these flashes of a life that's going on, and then it's just stripped away.
Yeah.
And I guess we could start introducing this character named Crockett, or anti-hero. He lives. He's got property. It's not in the city, but it's close to the city. And he has taken this over from his father. People in his family had lived on this property for a while, and it's basically a rural setting. And he's got an old house,
right?
Made of brick, a pretty substantial house, but there's a lot of outbuildings, shops, and pole barns and the like. And he's got a forge, and he's got a kind of a bunker-like facility that where he's got some machining tools. His dad was sort of a freelance, engineer. He would a fabricator of parts, and he would figure out how to create something that would meet a particular need, and worked on a kind of a per job basis.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of salvage work and a lot of kind of hard scrabble to Crockett's life growing up.
Right.
His dad, you just have to, the secret, if you're going to be of any use to anybody, you just have to get it done. You have to figure out a way to solve the problem, meet the need. And that's what put bread, hard work is what puts bread on the table. And he liked the life because his dad taught him that, you're an independent soul. You take on work that you are willing to do. And you don't answer to anybody that you haven't made a deal with. But if you make a deal, then you've obligated yourself, and that's your duty. But you're under no obligation to kowtow or be subservient. Perform honorable work, and you expect honorable remuneration. And Crockett's like this. He's not the kind of a guy that you would think of as the hero of taking on a cause. But he is, he's hard, lean, and tough, kind of just past middle years, a little bit of gray showing in the temples. He is not, over the hill by any means. He's right. He's hard at it. He's, and yet there's been kind of he's noticed disturbing changes in the way people relate to him. It's as if people don't understand understand just straightforward plain talk anymore. And especially people that he has taken on jobs for from the city.
Right.
And but he doesn't feel it's his business to bother himself about a lot of nonsense.
Right.
And so, he just goes back to work. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I have a picture of like where he comes into the story. And I think what we're really dealing with is two separate stories here that are connected to each other because one is nested inside of the other, right? So we live in a day and age now where like virtual reality, you like Ready Player One style stuff.
Yeah.
Where you put on the goggles and you can go away into a different place. And a lot of people's functional lives have switched over to that being their kind of main gig, right?
Right.
And not Crockett, right?
Right.
Because his father taught him that, life is reality is what you can see, feel, taste, touch, what you have in front of you, what you can create, what you can craft with your own hands. So he doesn't have the same kind of appeal. He's perfectly happy in the real world.
Yeah.
Right. But what it has allowed him to do is he is kind of a slum landlord.
Yep.
Right. He owns numerous buildings and services them, and in one of these such buildings is where we find 6 months after Marius disappears, basically on his way home from some late night meeting, is where we find Marius's wife and his young daughter or young son. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Crockett very quickly sees that they don't belong in this kind of place.
Right.
Where everyone else is kind of locked in their rooms with like their really high speed internet, like plugged in and kind of going at it all day, just away from everything.
Yeah.
He really notices that they are not doing that they're like trying to avoid that sort of online connection. Right. And that kind of piques his interest. And he becomes maybe kind of like a protector of them and then also a helper, So part of the definition of an anti-hero is that they serve the role of hero, but they lack some of the hero type things.
Right.
Like morality, like the sort of courage, the sense of like standing up for what is right.
Yeah. Crockett has honor. He wouldn't consider himself lacking in morality. It's just that he minds his own business.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so then the second place is whatever's going on in this world that Marius lives in, which I'm thinking part of me, what I'm thinking of is that Marius is the hero, right? I know we haven't chosen hero, but we can just basically knock that off.
I think that works.
And in order for them to get to run the program, they need, basically they upload him into a server and then connect him to one of the larger video games that are hosted and run. So when he leaves the tutorial area, he actually enters into a place with other people, where other people are connected to and doing, and playing.
Right.
I
But
have a slight idea here. So
let's
how
hear
does this sound? So the program or this thing that he's connected to, like anything like that, its name is the Verde Abyss,
which stands for
the green abyss. I do believe that's Spanish. Verde.
Yeah, Verde.
Verde.
Yeah.
And abyss is another word, like the sea is the abyss.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So it's kind of the thing that's holding his consciousness captive.
Right. It's the program. Like anything, like, I don't know, you have, these different, imagine if, you had the virtual reality and you could get into, I don't know, what's the game that kids these days play?
World of Warcraft.
They always play World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. It's called that, or their side of the program. I'd say the people that put him in here, like it's like an information. They give everybody the image that they're, playing these games, but they're really giving up, bits of information of themselves, of different things, how,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to tie a couple things into it. So like the program, so it'd be like, right now we might be like, oh, let's log on and play us some Green Abyss or, Verde Abyss, or I don't know what the Spanish word for abyss is, probably abyss.
Okay, so that's the name of the game?
The game or the program. But see, these people that put him in the program, they use the program, for their own purposes. But it's something like you said, he goes into this other place and it's where other people are.
What I was thinking of is that he would basically the protocol that's running, that's hosting his consciousness, is the program it's like running the whole program that's trying to get him to divulge this information. So the protocol is Verde Abyss. That is what's running his consciousness. It connects to this other thing where the prophecy is, right? And it's part of this information gathering system. But like, because basically the idea is that like he is like going to be one of the people who's under the sea, right? That's the idea.
Right. So the idea, would be like these people that they've put into this program to divulge information. Kind of what I'm thinking is that there's like a broad world that a lot of people, let's say, can connect to. But then this side of the program, the Verde Abyss, it's like, okay, let's go run this dungeon. Well, like certain NPCs, they can, let's say, in place certain NPCs to kind of guide him along, just join certain guilds or join certain parties and take certain missions. And where the general public might not ever, they reach or like even have access to certain say areas.
Right.
But that's kind of where then they open these areas up to people that they have under their, like inside of the Verde Abyss.
Right. And I think part of it is also that it's not just him. There's lots of other people that this has happened to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And those would be the people that are under the green sea.
Yeah. So this is kind of like the first part of the story, I think.
Yeah.
That we're getting to here. And I like it. I think it's good so far. I wanted to jump back to the regular part of life real fast. I think that the reality. I think that the Marius's wife has something, right? Some sort of key code, some sort of USB decoder, something that she needs to basically protect, because it's like, my idea is that Marius is like a developer, maybe like developer of Verde Abyss or some subsidiary thereof, so like some subpart thereof, right? And he figures out some kind of thing they were doing. Maybe he finds out that when people are connected to Fantasy Kingdom, the most popular video game on the planet, that this Verde Abyss and its information gathering systems can basically clone the person's neural network, right? And then create that person again and he basically goes to the higher ups and says, hey, this is a thing that's like wrong and terrible. And they go, listen, this is bigger than you. You can't know about this. You need to just forget about this. And he says no. And then he goes to meet up with someone to basically let them know, like a cop or an FBI agent or a newspaper boy, one of those, news writing guys.
Extra, read all about it. Hey, kid, tell this to your editor. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. And then on the way home from that is caught and found by this criminal organization or this government system that's trying to gather information or whatever. It's something that's trying to keep this thing secret. And then they basically need his information to figure out who he shared it with and all what is, what he knows and all his work, and they can't get into it. And so now they're trying to do it a couple different ways. One, they're trying to find his wife because she'll be able to, she has the keys to get access to his computers and his servers and stuff like that. And two, they're trying to get it from him directly by basically putting him through this scenario in which he will basically unlock, the whole system for them unwittingly, I think this is good. So as Crockett and Maria, I think that's her name, kind of become friends, and he's kind of like the crotchety old, my brain pictures him as kind of like a Clint Eastwood, like the old Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And he just kind of comes by and, huffs and puffs and talks about people, how they're so ungrateful, but like fixes all of the windows so that they don't leak anymore.
Yeah.
And he's kind of mean, but he like gets it done.
Yeah. He's gruff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. I think this is a good start. Should we stop it here? And just so we don't like run out too much of other story elements.
Right.
So we can mark off hero off the list, and then we'll just draw new story elements tonight, and then meet next week with the next installment of this story. I'll write a short recap for the beginning of the next episode. just so that everyone gets caught up. And then I'll keep doing that until we have completed this story. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this new and improved, different and strange version of Wait It Gets Better. If you like this idea, I would like to know. Just send me an email at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com. If you want to wait to send me that email until we've done a few more bits of this new story, that's fine. If you want to hear more stories about D'Artagnan, I would say just wait, because it gets better.